Jerry's Book Tree.
Fraser Bear, A Cub's Life, Maggie de Vries, illustrated by Renne Benoit. January. Deep in their den, two baby bears snuggle against their mother's belly, drinking her rich, warm milk. Tiny and hairless and blind, they are as happy as they can be. As they drink, they make a humming sound, like the buzzing of bees. Far away in the ocean, thousands of Chinook salmon begin their long journey home. There she is! A man squeezes halfway into a hole in the tree, just above the bear's heads. The mother bear stares as he pokes her in the shoulder with a needle. She is asleep when he reaches down and lifts out the two cubs. Daylight strikes the male cub's eyelids, and he cries softly. "Oh, he's so cute. Can I hold him?" a voice says, the voice of a child. Moments later, the tiny cub snuggles into his new spot under the child's coat. He senses his sister nearby and is content. The child peers at the female cub. "Samantha," she says. "I name you Samantha, and you," she says, turning to the male bear, "I name you Fraser Bear." The man changes the mother bear's collar, weighs and measures her, and returns her to the tree. He places the cubs against their mother's chest. It is time to go. The child walks away as slowly as she can. One day she hopes she will see Fraser and Samantha again. April. Fraser opens his eyes for the first time. His sister looks back at him. After the bears have a feed and a snooze, their mother shoves her front feet and her nose under Fraser and pushes him up and about into the world. Moonlight washes over the small bear. He shakes his head and breathes the chill night air. Until now, he has known only the smell of bear. The new smells are sharp and clean: snow and trees, pine, spruce. He listens. An owl hoots in the distance. A wolf howls. The snow is cold under Fraser's paws. With the tip of one paw, he touches the crisp edge of a shadow. His sister shoves past. Fraser turns and gives her a good cuff. Their mother watches as the cubs fall over and over each other in the snow. Early next morning, far away, boats go out to sea. Men and women lower their nets. May. The melt is on. Water rushes down the mountains. The cubs are always hungry. Day after day, they follow their mother in search of new growth. They climb for it up bare, slippery slopes. Many times a day, they stop to drink their mother's milk. The mother bear is even hungrier than her cubs. She watches for food and for danger. Nearer now, the salmon that have survived the journey swim into the wide, muddy mouth of the Fraser River. June. One morning, Fraser's mother spots a moose calf, all alone. She huffs her cubs up a tree. Fraser is curious and stops, but a swat on the rear sends him scrambling after his sister. The cubs peer down from the branches as their mother stalks the calf, but the calf sees her and bows. Suddenly, its mother appears. Sharp hooves race against the great hungry bear. Years back, Fraser's mother retreats as the calf presses tight against its mother's side. July. Fraser falls onto his back and pulls a huckleberry branch down to his mouth. A sound, his eyes fly open, and he stares into the face of an enormous bear. Silent now, the bear steps closer. Crying loudly, Fraser rolls to his feet and runs up the first tree in his path. The tree is small. It bends. Fraser clings to its bendy branch and cries. The huge bear rakes Fraser's body with his claws. Fraser squeals and drops to the ground. The bear raises his paw for another blow. A furious roar stops the paw in midair. The bear's big head whips around. And Fraser's mother is there, shoving her body between cub and bear. The male bear's anger is no match for hers. He retreats a pace or two and lumbers away. Samantha creeps backward down a nearby tree. Fraser lies still, moaning softly. his mother sniffs at his wound and licks. The fish reach the rapids in the Fraser Canyon. A cement ladder built under the water helps them pass through. On they swim. August, September. The berries in July were good, but the berries in August are better. Fraser loves the blueberries best. Insects are everywhere. Ants and beetles and their grubs. Soon there will be nuts. The bears stuff themselves. They must grow fat or they will die before the spring comes. One day, the mother leads her cubs to the river's rocky shore. Fraser stares. The water is alive. It squirms. It wriggles. Fraser has never seen water like this before. The spawning grounds at last. Female salmon sweep their tails to make reds, or nests, for their eggs. Males gather. The river fills with fish. The cubs watch as their mother springs. Soon she grasps a thrashing salmon in her teeth. Fraser spots a fish and jumps after it. His teeth clink together, empty. Nearby, his sister does no better. Their mother grunts to her cubs to follow, and the bears make their way into the woods to feast on her catch undisturbed. The female salmon release their eggs. The males release a cloud of milk over them. Fertilized, the eggs drift down into the reds. Their work done, their bodies weak, the fish live on for some time to protect their eggs. At last, though, each Chinook must die. Their bodies become food for many other creatures and for the forest itself. Fraser has no trouble catching dead fish, and he learns that dead fish come alive in a few days with maggots. Extra delicious. He eats and eats, nuts and bugs and berries, as well as fish. Under his coat, fat piles on fat. Soon it will be time to sleep. October. Fraser's mother had found a den among the roots of a fallen tree. Fraser and Samantha help her line it with leaves and grass. Weeks more of eating, mostly nuts now, and squirrels catches when they can find them. Snow comes. The den's entrance is hidden by a great white drift. The cubs squeeze in after their mother, curl up against her belly, and go to sleep. At the bottom of the river, ice grow inside the eggs. Later, the eggs hatch. Buried safe in the riverbed, the hatchlings feed on their yolk sacs. May. Until the time comes for Fraser to leave his mother, he does not know that he will go. One day, though, just before his second summer, Fraser wanders off in search of the next green patch. His mother watches as he disappears from view. Fraser finds a rotten log and flips it over, lapping up bugs and tugging at fat grubs with his teeth. When he is done, he looks for a good tree. Moments later, he settles into the crook of two strong branches 10 meters off the ground. Fraser closes his eyes for a nap, alone for the first time in his life. Last year's hatchlings, now the size of stubby pencils, swim for the sea. June. Fraser hunts for leaves and berries and grubs. He stops. Something smells sweet and delicious. Fraser follows his nose until he comes out into the open, and there they are. Buzzing boxes. They are behind a fence, but he has pushed down fences before. He rears up, sending the fence crashing, and falls back with a loud blow. The fence has attacked him. Fraser will be fully grown and a father before he gets his first taste of honey-coated bee grubs. September. Fish have arrived at the river again. Down Fraser goes and up he comes. But the fish slip by. He jumps, he dives. The fish slither from his teeth. There, a huge salmon, ragged from its journey. This one does not slip away. From a rubber raft downstream, people watch. One is a child, older now. "Look, Dad," she says. "That's Fraser. See? He caught a fish." Fraser is pulling himself ashore, heading for the woods with his prize. "Could be," her father says, "but you can't be for sure." The child watches her bear and smiles. October. Fraser is fat on berries and bugs, nuts and fish. He rarely remembers his mother and sister now. Back in September, before the first snow fell, he found and prepared his den. Now he makes his way inside and turns around. He lies down and presses his behind against the back wall, drawing his legs close to his body. Fraser Bear takes a deep breath and falls asleep.